Hello soulmates, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you are new here, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to cut and also how to sew a long pencil skirt with a full lining. So this could be used either for the lower part of a gown or for a skirt on its own. So if this is something you're interested in, please keep watching. So welcome guys. So what I do is to measure the length of the skirt. So I measure the length of my skirt after 3 inches. There is 3 inches below this line that I'm rolling. So that 3 inches will be the folding at the lower part. But this line I'm rolling here is the length of my skirt from this up downward. That's the length to that line I rolled, and the remaining fabric below is what I'll be using to flip it over. So now this is what I have. So the next thing I'll be doing is to also mark ½ inch at this upper part. ½ inch here. Why mine is at this extreme edge is because that's the length of my skirt. Yours could be in the middle if that is not the full length of your skirt, but my skirt gets up here, so that's why I'm rolling ½ inch at this upper part. Yes. So after the ½ inch, you place your tape. Because I'm doing mine for a skirt, that's why I'm placing it after my half length. But if it is a normal skirt, just from there you rule I rule my short gown length, or your short skirt length. If it is a skirt, your short skirt length. If it is a gown, your short gown length. You rule a line at that area. Then what I do is to measure 6 inches above that line. So you measure 6 inches above that line, then you also roll it out. If it is a short gown, measure 6 inches above your skirt, measure 6 inches above. So now I count like my hip length. I count my hip length downward, then I roll a line. I make a point at that area, then I will roll a line. So from this up to this part I just wrote is my hip length. I hope you understand. So this first line here is for the sewing allowance, the second line is for the hip length, the third one is 6 inches above our short skirt length. So now I'm measuring my waist measurement divided by 4, my sewing allowance, and also my dart allowance. So for this hip area, my hip, which is 9, that is divided by 4, it is 9, with my sewing allowance alone. Then the same thing to my hip divided by 4 plus my sewing allowance. Let me come again. So for this waist area, your waist measurement divided by 4, your sewing allowance, and your dart allowance. For the hip area, your hip measurement divided by 4, your sewing allowance alone, no dart allowance at this area. And this also that line, so the same thing you measured at the hip, you measure it there. So at this line here, what I do is to go in by 1 inch. So I go in by 1 inch. That's where the pencil effect is coming from. Then what I will do is to place my French curve like this. Then I will connect. To know where you connect it with, you can measure 4 inches below your hip length and just connect like this. As you can see, that shape. So whatever you have there, you transfer it to this other line. Then you roll. So you can keep decreasing it by ½ inch or 3/4 or 1/4 inches till you get to the lower part. But sometimes I just do it like that straight down, because of in case I want to just take bike or enter bus, so that it will be easy for me. So then what I do is to roll this line. I'll just connect it like this. Then I'll connect it downward to the last part of the line. Let's say now at this line that we took out the 1 inch from for the pencil skirt, it is 9 inches. The lower part of my skirt may be 8. So as I keep going down, I'll be reducing it till I get 8. I hope you get. So that's what I do sometimes. So looking at this line, it is not that pencil for me. It is not that pencil. I will draw it better. I made a mistake of measuring at this area, so I will do it. So whatever I have here, I transfer it down. So transferring it, I noticed that I made a mistake there. So as you can see, I'm redrawing the line, and to give me my pencil effect, then I connect it downward. So that is what I have. So the next thing to do now is just to cut. The next thing I'll be doing now is to cut the front bodies. So this is my front bodies, and I'll be transferring this to cut my back bodies. So this is it after cutting. This is what I have after cutting. So now I've went ahead to fold my, so after folding, I've added my slit allowance at this side. So that's 1.5. So that's what I usually use, 1.5 for my slit allowance. Then this is the front fabric I'll be placing. So I'll just go ahead and cut. I'll go ahead and cut. So after then that, you open up the slit allowance, and this is what we'll be having. So after this, the next thing I'll be doing is to just take out my darts. So your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 7. So 7 divided by 2 plus half inch is 4. So I'll just use my scissors to note that point, and I will note the length of my darts. So this is the lining. This is the lining I'll be cutting, and I'll be explaining how you can cut a perfect lining for your skirt, a perfect lining for it. So now this is the lining I cut out. So for you to get a perfect length, so this is my lining. How you will know the length of your lining is to fold whatsoever you added at this lower part. So for me, I added 3 inches at this lower part. You see the line that I wrote the other time. So I fold it at this area. Then I place my tape 1 inch. I place my tape 1 inch before that folding. That is, you see, from that folding it is 1 inch. Then I measure to the edge of the skirt upward. You take in 1 inch in, then you measure to the edge of the skirt, then you cut the lining to get to that point. I don't know if you get. So whatsoever measurement you have, you now measure it from your skirt. So where it gets to on your skirt, that is where the lining will get to. As you can see, when I showed you earlier, the lining did not get downward. So now to sew this, you start from the lower part, you sew. After sewing, this is what I have. So I'm sewing with half inch. That is why I took out 1 inch earlier. So now the next thing I'll be doing is to sew by this other side. You know my sewing allowance was 1.5. So if I sew with 1/4 inch, I will have 1.25 left. So that is what I'll be doing. And I will also do the same thing too for the back bodies. The same thing you are doing for the front, you do the same for the back bodies. The 2 back bodies. So you do the same thing too for the back bodies. Then you sew. So after sewing, I went ahead to iron. As you can see, this was what I was talking about. When you measure the length of your skirt, it will be accurate. Trust me if you follow this procedure. So the next thing I'll be doing is where I notched earlier, I'll just be making my darts at that point. So these are my back bodies. I will make my darts, then I'll be back. So this is the skirt, and the only difference here is if you are making a skirt, you add your band to it. And if you're making your gown, you just add your half length. Just like me, I'm making a gown, so I'll just add my half length. So now I'll be teaching you how to locate your slit points, where the slit will start from, where it will get to. So from your short gown measurement, you measure 6 inches upward, or even 7, or depending on how high or how low you want it to be, that can serve as your guide. So from your short gown length, if it is a gown you are making the skirt for, you measure your short gown length. Then from the half length, you go down to by 9 inches or 8 inches. So from that point, the remaining sewing allowance you have here, you just measure it. Then that will be the sewing point. I hope you get. So this is what I have after sewing. So after sewing, this is what I have. Then I use an hemming gum to make one side, like to iron one side down, then the other side will be opened up like that. So when I walk, it will be overlapping. So this is the gown I made from this skirt. If you want the tutorial, I'll just link it up here for you to see. And if you are making the skirts, like I said earlier, the next thing is just to add your band and your zip to the skirt pattern. So if this tutorial was helpful, let me know in the comment section. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll reply you as soon as I get them. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.